Alright, I am now finally talking about R2CS, or as I like to call it, R2ECCS, Rivals 2 East Coast Championship Series. Let's go! And I will break down like why I just decided to just straight up call it that, but pretty self-explanatory. And I've talked about my frustrations about it on streams, and I joked about it a lot during my streams as well, and other people's streams when I get the chance, like whenever I get asked about it. But no, like, I just have like frustrations about how things have been communicated and how much I've seen some shades of our like Rivals Championship Series Season 8 within it, like with how things have been communicated, and I feel like it's just something that should be talked about, at least. And yeah, no, like I'm gonna break down like my thoughts and feelings about it. Better late than never. Oh man, who the hell do you think you is thinking you can talk about how they do their competitive series? Who the hell are you? Well, I'm the guy who got number 40 in Rivals Championship Series Season 8 because he decided to stop being a broke-ass bitch. And more on that later because, golly gee dude, I feel like that was a charity case. I'm not gonna lie. So like I said, communication hasn't been the best since Rivals of Aether 1, at least on the competitive side of things. How do I know? Like I said, I was a participant. Now, how it worked in Rivals of Aether 1, at least in the season I decided to try in, there was 2 leagues that counted towards RCS. The first one being Grassroots League, which is a way to highlight community events and highlight other people's scenes, no matter how big or small it is, mostly on the low side of things. And then there's RCS League, Rivals Championship Series, basically the league hosted by the devs and ran by them as well, and all culminating into determining who is number 1 in the season finale. I will get to that one in a second, or more in like a few minutes. Just give me a second. Now, there was also a 4-event minimum requirement to even qualify for top 50. Basically, how it goes is either you need to enter either 4 RCS events, alright, yeah, pretty self-explanatory, or 2 grassroots events and 2 RCS events. Now, I'll give you guys a second to figure out why this might be an issue. The problem being, why the hell would I even bother doing Grassroots League events? Because, no, think about it. If one league is ran by the devs and hosted by the devs, why would I even bother with the community highlighted events? Just tell me, like, why even bother at this point? Like, excuse my ignorance, this is really the first time, like, I even gave a shit about competing in video games. And, yeah, no, that's just help me break that down. Next thing that wasn't really communicated was how do online and offline events affect things? How much weight is an online event, basically? Because if the order is, okay, RCS offline is worth the most, okay, sure, and then you go RCS online events is the next highest thing, because we're going with the logic that RCS events is higher. Then we got Grassroots League offline events, and then Grassroots League online events. So how much does it take for an online event to count more than an offline event? Because help me make sense of this one real quick. How are you gonna tell me that the big house, right? 50 entrants. How are you gonna tell me that is worth more than RCS December and RCS July? Basically, that's 164 entrants to 254 entrants. How are you gonna say those 2 brackets are worth less than a 50-person bracket? Because people decided to show money to travel to the big house, in which a bracket, despite financial issues, we got shafted on setups and on stream time. We didn't even get streamed. Okay, you still want to flame me for, like, oh man, it's just online, who cares, screw that, you know it, you know offline feels better than online, you know it. Okay, then on that same note, Gommel, the only Canadian bracket that counted towards, like, RCS and Grassroots League, or just Grassroots League, because it wasn't even in RCS, it had 80 entrants, and like, this is still worth less than the Big House? How? Why? Help me explain that one to me. So that's, like, basically my spiel about Rivals of Aether 1 and, like, how communication wasn't the best. There wasn't anything to my knowledge and to any of my homies' knowledge about like how things count. Now I want to get back to one of my earlier bullet points of, oh, like, this is the season finale, right? Well, I mean, personally, I feel like it was pretty obvious that RCS Season 8 was the last comp season for Rivals of Aether 1, because around that time, Aether Studios just announced Rivals of Aether 2. So, yeah, no doy, like, you want to work on the sequel. Like, I would want them to pour all their time into the sequel, then try to give us, like, a competitive season. Like, yeah, screw that. Like, but apparently some people in the community didn't get the memo, but yeah, here we are. So I guess it's, like, worth mentioning. So, most of my frustrations and what really prompted me to make this video, and honestly though, like, they have been getting, like, really better about communication. I'm not gonna bullshit you on that one. They have been getting exceedingly better, and I appreciate them for that. But at the time, I'm like, just mad, just mad as hell about it. And it mainly had to do with this. If we decide to count Orlando being part of the East Coast, this would mean that we got 5 offline East Coast events. Let's freaking go. And then also, because the Coinbox decides to run at 3 p.m. 3 p.m. PST, which means at 6 p.m. EST on a fucking weekday, that means, like, wow, okay, not only do we hate functioning members of society of the West Coast, we also should just count this as being another East Coast event. So that brings our total to about, like, what, 7 East Coast events in a 9 event circuit, basically. Like, how? Why? Now, we also don't know is, like, is this a top 50? Is this a top 100? Matter of fact, as I'm recording this, what is it, June 18, we still don't know that answer. We still don't know whether it's a top 50 or a top 100. When R2CS was first announced with this tweet for the summer portion, it's like, god damn, 7 East Coast events right in your face. Like, god damn, dude, was there really nothing else for the West Coast at all other than EVO? Like, jeez. Now, I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt. This could 100% just be a logistics thing, and this is just how things line up. I'm willing to give them that. But because, like, after helping out with Battle of BC, my eyes are open at how many moving pieces there are at a major. I can't even fathom out of, like, how expensive this shit is to pull off, let alone trying to get your game into these events. Like, I can empathize with that. However, why not just cover your bases and just saying afterwards, like, hey, like, people of the West Coast and the South, don't worry, we haven't forgotten about you, that we're trying to lock in dates for the later portion of the season. This is just how things lined up in, like, in R2CS. Because it feels bad now, like, when we do get events added in the later portion, it just makes it look like we just bitched and moaned for more events, and we just got in out of pity. Like, okay, yeah, this may not be a big deal to, like, a lot of the players, but to me it's a big deal because there's just been little cuts here and there that's just been adding up, and this is only on the competitive side of things. I can't imagine this for the balance side of things, which admittedly they have been getting extremely better about, but also the casual audience where there's lack of things to do in this game. So yeah, this is just one of to me, this is just another one of those little cuts. Because again, a little text of like a little tweet saying, hey, people in the West and the South, we haven't forgotten about you. We're trying to lock in dates, like I said earlier. This, I personally would have just been like, I would have been disappointed, but I wouldn't have decided to make a video about this. I would have just been hyping up like R2CS instead of just calling it R2ECCS, Rivals East Coast Championship Series. But you know what? Sure, let's run it through. What could possibly be in the next half of the event, of like events coming up? Because the date cutoff is September 5th. We have plenty of events to go. Like, I'm assuming Genesis is the season finale, so we have plenty of time before that. So September, maybe Purge could count, maybe, please. Like, or I think Oregon should get something, considering they've been repping Rivals of Aether 1 for the longest, or like one of the scenes to rep Rivals of Aether 1 the longest. Then we got, I believe, Hitfall. Maybe that's in October, but that's another East Coast event. And yeah, okay, that's another one for East Coast Championship Series. So yeah. But honestly though, shoutouts to NDVA for starting up a Rivals Major. That I personally can't believe that even happened in the first place, but that just goes to show like how passionate the community is for its game. Even though they don't really like Rivals of Aether 2, but they still rep heavy for Rivals of Aether 1. So go check them out if you still vibe with that game, because honestly, they deserve it. Now, November gets awesome. You got maybe Port Priority, if it's still happening. And then you also got this event called Heatwave in Arizona. Now, this is where a little bit of my frustration settles in. So you got two events that are basically booked within the same month. And yeah, no, like that's just kind of just sucks, because if you want to hit both, you're at least gonna need one flight for if you live in Seattle or if you live in Arizona, right? Oh, but Outcast, the same thing happens with Collision and Supernova. You're just so entitled. Well, you see, little Timmy, you can clearly see here that from going from Virginia to New Jersey, it takes about like 4 hours. Meanwhile, going from like Arizona to Seattle or Seattle to Arizona, you at least need a flight. So this isn't the same thing. And yeah, no, like that just kind of sucks logistically, but like this just doesn't feel the same, or doesn't feel as bad if you're trying to go from like Virginia to New Jersey. Again, this is like probably something so benign, but like this is just something I get this is also something we're just gonna have to deal with, but not acknowledging this like at all, like I don't know. I feel like it's kind of crazy, but whatever. I'm just the competitor. I don't know any better. Now I want to get into a few brackets that I want to say I side-eye a little bit. The first being which of Coinbox. First of all, why was this announced only a week in advance? And again, Wednesday, 6 p.m. EST. Again, I guess we hate functioning members of society of the West Side. And by the way, I had a decent run in the Coinbox, despite all the things I've been saying, because this was a rare instance where just stars aligned for me, because this was a rare occurrence where Mr. One Outcast was able to live like an unemployed Neanderthal, because I had a car appointment. and that was the only day my mechanic was available, and we scheduled this a month in advance because shoutouts to my cousin for getting more business. But yeah, anyways, yeah, this was like the rare instance where I was able to do this. Despite it starting at 3 p.m. PST, first of all, I was genuinely surprised I had a decent seed in this. I'm not even gonna lie, considering how notoriously bad seeding has been for this bracket, not even just for rivals. Anyways, I didn't even place my seed. I placed like 1 or 2 below that, but I cannot be mad with how I played, to be honest. I feel like I played my best that I could, and yeah, no, like, I just simply got outplayed, like, in my bracket run. I mean, shoutouts to my opponents. The only complaint I have about my run, personally, is, I had to bend over backwards and rep Chicago like I was CM Punk more than anything. Otherwise, people would have just complained that, hey, yeah, West Coast is too far. Man, okay, yeah, whatever, fine. Now, on to my actual complaints with the bracket itself. Why was Spargo, like, showed off as much as he was? He was knocked into losers early. Why is he on my screen? And also, I was keeping track. Sofilo and Marlon were on deck, ready to play their match for at least 30 minutes. Why are we putting FaZe Spargo on screen? I counted. This was at least like 8 times. What? Why? Help me understand this. Also, I'm gonna assume that this is just every coin box, but I think it's worth noting. Top 64 needing to be, or like pools needing to be completely done so that top 64 can move. Dude, God, I feel like I could have cooked dinner in that time. Jesus Christ. Okay, yeah. No, like, I don't know how it's done in any other coin box, but I'm just gonna assume that this is done, and this is how it's done. But the biggest thing is only top 8 being best of 5. Dude, okay, I get that Rivals of Aether 2 is a slower game than 1, but I feel like it's faster than Ultimate, where you could have just at least had top 24 be best of 5, cause dude, I feel like upsets can happen within, like, or like a complete reversal can just happen with this level of talent in top 64 side. There's no way. And I'm asking for at least top 24 to be best of 5, not top 64, even though that's how I think it should have been. But that's all I got really for Coinbox. Hopefully next time it's better, because we got another one coming up pretty soon, at least after Gommel. Now, my issues with Supernova, I mean Super Smash Con, I mean Supernova, I mean East Coast bracket number 67. So, another thing to note with Rivals of Aether 1 is anytime we were at a Smash Major, we always got top 6, right? Well, man, dude, we don't even get that for Supernova because we got top 3 for Rivals of Aether 1 back when they were called Super Smash Con in 2022. Yeah, let's go. And then we get top 3 again in Rivals of Aether 2 in the Big 24. Wow, we love it. Now, I get that getting your game a top 8 or top 8 stream time does cost money, but how is it that we're able to be treated like a main event if we're only given limited amount of time to show off like our talent? Like, that is like that's just how I see it. Like, please help me make sense of that. Otherwise, I guess just don't have us. That's my whole thing with it. But hey, like, I guess I'm the minority in this. That just makes me cautiously optimistic for Supernova this year. But yeah, we get a top 8, but now I worry, like, oh man, how good are the setups gonna be? Are we gonna get shafted on setups? Like, that's one thing. Like, I neglected to mention too. So yeah, that's like my brief rant about Supernova. And now The last event, this one is the one where I'm like, dude, I am kind of pissed at the most, because at least with Coinbox and Supernova, the bar is in hell. Like, there's no way you could get any lower than this. So yeah, I have like zero expectations for those two brackets in particular, but this one, Riptide, I'm just disappointed in, personally, because time and time again, the Rivals community was told by the TOs of Riptide that, hey, we want to make you guys feel welcome and be treated like a main event like you guys are. And then it's like, yeah, 1 year they do really good in showing that, and it's like, oh yeah, this is sick. And then the next year they just fumble at the finish line, or they don't even get to the finish line is a bigger problem. Like, it's very on and off, and it's like, why? How? Well, one of the reasons maybe is like, maybe we're not getting enough entrants that they thought we could get, but that's a whole different story. But yeah, no, okay, what I mean is, yeah, the first Riptide that had Rivals of Aether 1, yeah, amazing. It was amazing from what I hear from friends, and it was hype. It was the first offline major back for Rivals. Then the next year, 2022, Rivals doubles is just shoved into a corner. Okay, well, that's pretty bad. And then we get like this gaudy stream setup, like this inflatable projector that you use like outside. And it's like this inflatable projector that you use outside in a backyard as like the main stream setup for I believe day 3. And then like also the audience wasn't given enough space to like watch top 8 off of this gaudy ass setup. Like, that is insane. I also heard setups weren't the best either, just overall in that one Riptide. So yeah, there's that. That is absurd to me. Like, how do you go from like one top tier experience if you main this one game, and then like the next year it's just garbage? That's just insane work to me. And then they make up for it by giving Rivals players free admission, like if they went to that Riptide, which is, yes, that is amazing. That's good. That is one great way to make up for it. And from what I hear, everybody was cool with it. And then yeah, it wasn't better than the first Riptide that had Rivals, but you guys put the bar in hell with the second Riptide, so this was like an easy bar to clear. Then 2024, okay, yeah, fine. Like, Rivals, there's no competitive season like anymore. Like, it's basically done. So it was just mostly a vacation, whatever, whatnot. We at least had Rivals 2 in day 3, so like that's fine, even though it was a top 6. Now we're here in 2025 for Riptide, and oh my god. Alright, first of all, you guys cut out Rivals of Aether 1 until we bitched and moaned hard enough, which, by the way, guys, at the time of me still recording this, we're only at 15 entrants for Rivals of Aether 1, so they might just have a good reason to just cut out Rivals 1, just saying. But back to Rivals 2, so, well, like, the 2 Smash titles get days 1, 2, and 3, but Rivals of Aether 2 just only has day 2 and 3, Saturday and Sunday. Like, I don't know if it's just me, but it feels like we're not being seen as a main event or as a big enough event to even warrant that. And it's like, even Rivals of Aether 1 like had day 1, 2, and 3. Like, at least it had a Friday. Like, what is this? Like, what happened? Like, is it a logistics issue, or is it just like more they don't see us like as a main event? Like, which is it? Because again, like, I'm confused as to, you guys say, oh, we want to make you guys feel like a main event. Rivals will always have a home here at Riptide, but then like we just get treated lesser than, like, is what I'm trying to say. Now, One Outcast, aren't you Canadian? Why are you going so hard in the paint for the West Coast? Shouldn't you advocate more for Canadian brackets? Like, what is going on over here? To which I say, if A3 Studios can't get events that count, or acknowledge that they're trying to get dates for at least the West Coast, what hope do I have for them to even bother trying to get things out in like Mexico or even in Canada? Like, what's even the hope if they can't even get like the opposite side of the coast, or even in the south? Like, then I feel like it's fruitless to me, because how I read how much they care about Canada is that, oh yeah, they drop ABSA on Canada Day. Oh, but guess what? She's not even legal for GOML. But you know when she is legal to be used? Oh yeah, primed and ready for the next coin box, the more prestigious bracket, because they decided to work around Coinbox but not GOML. I also want my peers on the West Coast to do well and go to these awesome events like hosted by the community and A3 Studios and other plat fighters without needing to break their bank accounts and get messed up by the time zone shift. As much as benign as that is, like, is that too much to ask for? Even though it sucks that I should probably hang back and like watch my peers do well and have fun at these events, like, I gotta think about me. And I personally don't feel safe crossing the border. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't care how high or how low it is for me to be targeted by ICE if I were to go down in the States and having it escalate. That chance should be zero regardless. I have family that don't even feel safe living in the States despite being citizens longer than I've been alive. All because it's a crime to ICE to not be puti, or it's a crime to be a different pigmentation. This is ridiculous. Out of respect for my parents who don't feel comfortable with me traveling down south, and I really don't want to stress them out, I'm not risking it for what essentially is just bullshit fun to me. Like, you know, I gotta think about my family and literally take care of business before like I take any pleasure in traveling, because I'm the highest earner of my household. The hell's gonna happen to them how are they gonna feel when I'm detained for X amount of time with like no contact at all? I can already see it now. Oh, but Outcast, there are people in more danger than you when they go out traveling out to tournaments. You're just a bitch. Alright, cool, you got it. You got me. If being a bitch is caring about my well-being and safety, and my family's like well-being, and like not stressing out about me, then I'm the biggest one you will see. For those going, oh grr, he brought up ICE, oh grr, he brought up politics, you snowflakes can melt on the way out of my channel, cause every other day I have friends and family feeling less and less safe being part of the United States. I've alluded to this earlier, but I really want to give flowers to A3 Studios on their improvement for communication, especially during when they dropped Dandelion Zetter, because along with that skin pack, they also dropped the survey for the player base to fill out. At the time, not only was it just smack dab in the middle, right in your face, like when you first boot up the game in the main menu, but it was asking like really good questions on like, oh yeah, what do players want to see from the game? What modes? What more features do we want, etc., as well as buffs or nerfs to certain characters that feel needed. One of the key questions that was asked is, hey, how frequently do you guys want balance patches? And I believe as of right now, like we've all settled on, please take longer with these patches so that we get like the best possible result we can get and less frustrating result. not only did that happen, but another cool thing happened is some people also felt that the communication was lacking, because now the devs are doing these dev streams every single Thursday, and it gives the community insight on what the devs are cooking up, or just more behind the scenes stuff that I think is pretty neat. Now, does this erase like how I've been feeling for like the past few months when it comes to the communication? No, it still needs to be talked about, because just from as like a fan and as a competitor, like, it's been frustrating, and it's still confusing when they are only still drip feeding us info on like how the competitive season works. However, this is still like a right step, and this is a good step in the right direction. Because, guys, I really want this game to grow, and this genre as a whole to grow, platform fighters to grow, especially with the past few days Plat Fighters has been going through, and how much Rivals has been going through because of these bad past few days as I'm like recording this. But with the devs listening to the feedback, it's given me renewed hope and has me looking forward to what they're gonna do next. Alright, that's gonna be it for me. Like I said, I've wanted to vent about this for a while because I feel like this isn't talked about enough, and honestly I do not know the solutions, but I just know that there's always time for a better next season, or even still ways to make up for it now. And I would rather them stay the course we are right now, because I still trust them. And this is like just coming from like a fan of Rivals of Aether 2 and a competitor and someone that just wants Plat Fighters to succeed as a whole. And given how much things have been happening in the world of Plat Fighters, oh man, yeesh. But anyways, one announcement I got is that I'm part of a podcast called Wavelength with my good friends Jazz Soundwave, Tech Knight, Project Shadow, and Simply Skeptic, where we all collectively talk about things about Rivals of Aether 2, but we also talk about things around platform fighters with like the openness to talk about other things in the near future with our topics. Yeah, and also be sure to use my creator code in Rivals of Aether 2. Be sure to use code 1OutCast at the checkout for when you guys go to buy the bundles. You guys can get Aether bucks like Milwaukee, and you too can ball like a Laker. Oh man, I messed that up. I'll keep that in there. And yeah, be sure to leave a comment if I'm tripping and feeling this frustrated for something that might just be benign and they might be able to fix, or do you just agree with me? And also feel free to like the video if you like what I had to say, and drop a sub so you can get more of me. And follow my Twitter and Blue Sky for updates. I am now using those things. I am progressing. I too am changing. I also stream on Twitch on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday evenings, PST time. And I also stream on YouTube, so even more incentive to subscribe to the YouTube channel to get more of me. Anyways, that's gonna be all. Peace.